Dan Illman, Mike Bier taking a look at the feature race at Churchill Downs on Saturday. It's the Grade 3 Commonwealth Turf. We're going a mile and a 16th. Let's take a peek at this field. It is a big, bulky field of 3-year-olds going a mile and a 16th on the turf for the Grade 3 Commonwealth. When I looked at this race, Mike, I saw a lot of speed.
There is a lot of speed in the race. It'll be interesting to see if the 6 Spectacular Gem can get to the front again, because he's proven to be pretty tough when he's able to make the front.
The problem is you also have Pirates Punch, the 4 trying turf for the first time. Knicks Go, the 9 trying turf for the first time. On the main track, they're fast. It remains to be seen how quick they'll be on the sod. Timeform US does not have it a red bar situation, but they do have the 4 and the 9 out there on the early lead, with the 6 Spectacular Gem taking a seat. And I guess that would work against Spectacular Gem a little bit.
I mean, I guess it could. You never know if he's going to be able to be as effective without the lead as he is on the lead, because his last 2 races when he made the front, he's actually been pretty good.
Let's discuss this field in post-position order, beginning with the 1 Tobacco Road. This horse was 100-1 in his first start off the claim in an allowance race. He really didn't do too much running. Now he's stepping up in class. He's a deserved 50-1 shot on the morning line.
Yeah, I agree. You can't like him, I don't think, in this race. I don't think he's a bad claim overall, Dan. He's got some talent. He's won some nice races, and he has a nice pedigree, but he's tough to make in this race.
2 Osage Moon's got a beautiful pedigree. I think he's a half to Shackelford and Lady Joni, and he's won his last 2 races on the turf for Marcassi up at Woodbine. We'll take a look at his most recent start. Another front-running gambit. This horse was on the lead throughout. We're going to see him in the lane, and I thought he was pretty strong, Mike, winning this race with an 84 Beyer speed figure, a career best. He is slowly moving forward. He still seems a little bit green, and he's going to have to improve yet again on a Beyer standpoint.
Well, he is, and he's also going to have to prove that he can be as effective without the lead, because in his last 2 races, both wins on the grass, he had no trouble making the front either time and took no pressure on the lead. I agree with you that he's finished well in both of those races, but it seems like he's going to have a tough time making the lead in this race, and we'll see if he's as effective without making it.
Clint Maroon, the number 3, wouldn't mind a little give in the ground at Churchill Downs on Saturday. Won the Woodhaven Stakes at Aqueduct over Yielding Going. Over the summer, he went through the auction ring, was purchased for $200,000 by a group that sent him to Wayne Catalano. And, well, he's been okay in his last 2 starts. I'm not really seeing the improvement from when Todd had him earlier this winter and into the spring. I do like his tactical speed and think he can sit a second flight trip behind a deluge of front runners.
Yeah, I agree with you. I like his tactical speed too. I think he will get a good trip in this race. I sort of agree with you that he hasn't improved since he left Pletcher's barn. On the other hand, he was the horse who was bothered most by Spectacular Gem 2 back. I mean, he was right there in the mix between horses deep stretch, and he's the one who was bothered when Spectacular Gem started drifting and ultimately got disqualified. Then last time, I guess they just decided to take that 3-wide tracking trip while everybody else saved ground. Maybe that worked against him a little bit. I don't think he's impossible in here again, and he's a good price on the morning line.
Pirates Punch, the number 4, 20-1 on the morning line. Big Buyers on dirt recently, 94.89, beaten a length in the Super Derby, 2 starts back at a mile and a 16th. But as we mentioned in the open, this is a horse that likes to race near the front. So with other speeds in the race trying turf for the first time, that's a lot to ask.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the improvement in his recent races is noted. He's run some really nice races on the main track lately anyway. I don't know how he's going to handle turf. I don't know how he's going to do without the lead either. When you look at his pedigree, it's basically all dirt. So he's not really for me, but he's in good form right now.
Hard to knock anything trainer Brad Cox throws out on the track right now, and it looks like he did the right thing with the 5 Marquis Prince in giving him most of the summer off. He came back off a layoff in Indiana Grand last time out, stalked and pounced his way to a victory. That was just a nice spot that Cox put him in to get his confidence back, get his fitness back. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a better effort, and again, this horse has that kind of tactical speed that Clint Maroon has.
Yeah, he's got some upside as well. There are things to like about this horse. He does have to improve to beat this field, but there's no reason why he can't do it.
You mentioned that Spectacular Gem, the number 6, the recent winner of the Jefferson Cup at Churchill Downs, going a mile and an 1/8, has really taken his game to the next level since being allowed to control the pace on the front end. And he went gate to wire, beating a couple of these last time out with the removal of blinkers. But again, we do see other speeds in this race. If I'm James Graham, I just go. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I agree. I would try and make the front with him again here, too. The reality of his career is all 4 of his turf starts are good. He's just a pretty good turf horse. Whether he gets the right trip in this race last time, especially in the Jefferson's Cup, he just got absolutely loose on the lead in there. He was staying on through the stretch, but once again, drifting very badly the final eighth of a mile. He seems to have a bad habit of doing that. I think he's going to have to keep a straight line to beat this field in.
I think Tracksmith has a chance perhaps to turn the tables on him. Second in the Jefferson Cup, liked his win in the Frisk Me Now. 3 starts back at Monmouth. It was a short field. He saved ground at the back, swung outside, turning into the stretch. The trip worked out very good. He was the favorite that day. He got it done. But in the Virginia Derby, that was a race with no pace whatsoever. He really didn't have much of a chance that day at 2-1. And in his Jefferson Cup, again, he was rallying into the loose on the lead winner. He just seems pretty logical for Joe Sharp.
Yeah, his races are fine. He just looks like one of the main contenders in the race. I don't think I would take too short a price on him. I thought they made him a pretty ungenerous 5-1 on the line. At that price, I would look elsewhere, but he's a contender in here. First-time
trainer Steve Asmussen has the number 8 Tiz Plus under his care. The horse has won 5 of his last 6 races, including this allowance race at Remington Park most recently. And again, this horse showed really sharp tactical speed to sit right off of the leaders. And in the stretch, he's very, very game to get this done. And he earned a 90 Beyer speed figure. He is going to have to step up in class.
Yeah, we'll see if he handles the rise. And it feels like the trainer change might make him a little bit shorter than you'd want him to be, but we'll see how that all plays out. I get that he was game last time. The 90 figure obviously makes him a contender in here. I kind of want to see him repeat that number. Dan, the horse that he beat last time, and I realized that Keep Quiet's an older horse, but he'd finish second to anybody, and he'd finish second whether you ran an 80 or a 90. It doesn't matter. So I had a tough time buying into this horse, but we'll see if he takes a step forward.
Nixco is the most accomplished horse in this race based on his upset win in the Grade 1 Breeders' Futurity at Keeneland last year as a 2-year-old on dirt, then running second in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. He has not won a race since. He was beaten in an allowance race last time out at Keeneland, albeit against a very good Chad Brown-trained 3-year-old in Looking at Bikinis. And it's almost as if Ben Colebrook's like, all right, I've tried sprinting, I've tried going long, I've tried dropping him in class. Why not turf?
Yeah, that's how I looked at him, too. It just feels like they're just trying anything to get this horse back to one of his good races. He didn't run, terribly last time, but he also didn't have any real excuse not to win. He got absolutely loose on the lead in there. Looking at Bikinis is pretty nice, and he was just no match for him. I can't take him on turf, Dan, but maybe they'll just send him and he'll get brave again.
I like this slight cutback in distance for the 10 Armistice Days, second most recently in the Ontario Derby on synthetic. We're going to take a look at this race right now. He is the number 5. He is in the second flight, just about easing to the 3 path, and he's not going to get to a pretty nice horse. Global Access is okay. Armistice Day is punching on, maybe the 1 1/8, and I know that he won the Toronto Cup going a 1-turn 1 1/8 at Woodbine 3 starts back. I think maybe the 1 1/8 was a little bit far for him. I like him cutting back. He occasionally runs a good race, and if you heat this pace up, I think he can come with a good late run for an underrated trainer in Barb Minchell.
Yeah, I agree with that. I like that horse that beat him last time, and I thought he was a good second to Global Access. His turf race 3 back, I guess he ran fine in there. I thought he got a really good trip up close to a pace that wasn't fast. This race feels like it will be run in a different manner. Maybe that will help him, and maybe it won't. And he's another horse. I like him. I think he's a contender in here. I think he's a pretty short price on the line. I wouldn't take that price.
A lot of upside for the 11, Mr. Dumas, never off the board from 5 lifetime starts, but when you look at his wins, he likes to be close to this pace, and as he makes his stakes debut, this pace might be faster than anything he's ever seen. Certainly the company will be tougher than he's ever faced.
Yeah, I don't have any real knocks on him as of now. We'll see how he handles the step up in class. I thought he looked good winning last time. I don't particularly like the field that he beat, though.
You know I was a big fan of the 12 Louder Than Bombs at Gulfstream over the winter and into the spring, and it was kind of close but no cigar for this horse. He showed some ability, second in the Dania Beach, third in the Palm Beach behind a Thread of Blue, who we know is a pretty good 3-year-old turf horse, fourth in the Kitten's Joy, finishing behind Henley's Joy, who we know is a pretty good turf horse. And again, he went a little bit sour in the spring. I like that David Fawkes gave him time. Now, maybe last time was the time to have him at Keeneland, making his then 3rd start off of the layoff. We'll watch that race right now. He was aggressively ridden by Ricardo Santana, and I think it was a very good move because he got a chance to relax down the backstretch. He's on the lead and on the green, and he's going to be confronted by this odds-on favor on the outside, and he looks beat. But I like the way that he comes back and finishes this off, and he galloped out really strongly. Louder Than Bombs is proven from off of the pace as well. I think this horse is just getting good at the right time. 8-1 on the morning line. I wish it was a little bit more because this post is not ideal.
Yeah, he's going to need a trip from out there. But as you say, he can run from on or off the pace. So that's a good thing. It does sort of feel like you sort of missed it last time. He was such a good price in that race, and he got a great trip to get it done in there. But he can do it either way. I don't even think 8-1's too high or too low. I think it's a very fair price on this horse. He's a contender in here.
Faraway Kitten goes out for the Michael Maker barn. You always have to respect these connections, especially going long on the turf in Kentucky. This horse has shown some ability. He won the Mystic Lake Derby despite having some trouble, having to alter course all the way down to the inside. He backed that race up with an upset win in the American Derby. They shot a little high for him. And last time out in the Jefferson Cup, he had a good trip, but Spectacular Gem had a better trip on the lead. Again, a tough outside post position.
Yeah, it's tough for him. I do feel like maybe even the 1.8 was too far for him last time too. So I'm not going to be too hard on him for the Jefferson Cup, where he did get a good trip and just got nailed for second on the money. He had, I thought, a legit excuse too back in the Caesars. He just broke very poorly from the gate and never got involved in that race. I'm not going to hold it against him. Prior to that, his form was good. He's a contender in here, I think.
The number 14 Journeyman, I thought, was a victim of a pretty tough disqualification in the Canadian Derby 2 starts back. We benefited from it. We had the runner-up Explode, who was put up via DQ, but that DQ could have gone either way. They ran him in the Dueling Grounds Derby last time out. I thought he ran a sneaky good race. We're going to fast forward to our top selections for the Commonwealth Turf Stakes, and I just think it's the kind of race where you want to look for a price. And you like Journeyman, 20-1 on the morning line for Godolphin.
Yeah, he's got a terrible post. We'll see if he's going to be able to overcome it and win this race. But as you were sort of alluding to, I like his last 2 races. I don't think he had a fair chance at all last time. His win at Arlington in July was actually very good. He had a ton of ground to make up at the top of the stretch in there, and he came with a big run to close that race down. We'll see if he can get a trip down. He was too big a price for me to pass up in this race. If he's going to be around, then I'm just going to have to take a shot and hope that things work out for him.
He's got that big pedigree and a lot of upside. Perhaps he's just finding himself and can live up to that pedigree. You're going with Journeyman, 20-1 on the morning line. Mike likes 14, 12, 6, 13. Maybe it's heart more than head. I'm sticking with Louder Than Bombs, and I missed him last time at Keeneland. I don't know how. 12, 10, 7, 14 for me in the Grade 3 Commonwealth Turf. It is a wide open race at Churchill Downs and has an approximate post of 5:36 Eastern. Best of luck.